Hello, this is Tom Cloud with a special report for SRS listeners. This is a crazy business that I'm in. I've been in it 45 years, as we've talked about before, going back to 1976 when I founded the company. And today, things are crazy, things I've preached about and talked about and tried to educate people about and help people get in there at the lowest commissions possible and the lowest storage fees possible has now become a giant concurrence that we'll all agree that precious metals are a place to be with part of your portfolio, and certainly a larger part of your portfolio than I've seen in quite a while. But let me go into some of the things Steve and I discussed. I want to start out with what's going on in the premium market, what's going on with premiums, how much you have to pay over how much I have to pay buying from a major wholesaler or market maker, add my commission and sell to you. So we want to talk about that a little bit, and we want to talk about the shortages that are out there in physical silver. Let me start with the Reddit thing. We've gotten hundreds of calls, people saying, is silver going to go up 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times? Now, what you got to know is this is not the same as what they were doing with GameStop and that, because that's paper. You're dealing with paper and ring around the roses, pocket full of posies. When the music stops, who wins, who loses? Silver's not exactly like that. You've got to put deliverable silver up in a COMEX warehouse as collateral before you go in and do your margins and go in the futures market to go up, bet on to go down, or bet on the silver to go up. So you're not going to see these huge swings like you do in paper products because the silver has to be there. So, but the good thing is it gets attention and it just starts marching up slowly, methodically, like it did in 1980, like it did in 2011. Last time it was at $50 an ounce. First time was 1980. Second time 2011. And we think the third time is around the door. Around the bend. It could be next week, next month, next year, but we're going to see some huge numbers, in our opinion, in silver. So let me tell you the first story. Right now, on February 3rd, as I record this, 2 days ago, we talked to a wholesaler group that tried to buy $250 million plus of silver from the U.S. Mint, and they were only allocated about 40% of that. The demand and the supply side of me buying it and selling it to you is the highest it's ever been, the premium over. Why in the world would someone holding thousands and millions of ounces of silver want to sell anywhere near spot? So the premium's going up because they know as soon as they sell it in a few days or months or days goes by, then they don't have it, the price on it. So they're going to put in a premium up there, but you want to sit through the premium, pay it, and get in line to get your physical. Right now, this morning, 5 of the wholesale sheets I looked at don't even have any silver for sale except some well-known, hallmarks. So you want to look at that and say they don't have it for sale. And the ones that do have 3 to 5 week delivery, which is good. Because remember, when you buy from us, we hold your money in our account until the silver is sent and we have a tracking number. We then pay for it. So you never go at risk of not getting your silver money because we're holding it. And that's very important. Very few companies can do that right now, I can promise you. So we do think silver is going to keep marching up. And as I said, the shortage is unlike anything I've ever seen in 45 years of doing this. And I expect it's going to get worse because these people that are coming in and playing the shorts and long market, putting silver up for collateral, are going to affect it positively for us. Very positive. A little volatility, yes, but not like what you're seeing in the GameStop and some of the stocks that are just putting up cash and not a real commodity that you can't just go out and buy it and put it up for delivery right away. It doesn't work that way. So hopefully we've talked about that. We've talked about the premiums. And let me tell you, gold premiums right now, we're selling gold eagles at 7.5% over spot. This is unheard of. I've never sold them for that high over spot. But you're not hearing much about gold. It's trickling up, but it's about to turn loose too as the central banks continue their assault on the physical gold market, and dumb Americans just sit there and watch it and know that central banks know something you don't know. Plus they have something you don't have. And that's a lot of cash. A lot of cash. We see Citibank talking about $50 to $100 silver. We see Bank of America talking about $3,000 gold in the next couple of years. I mean, what do they know that you don't know? They know there's a new system coming. They know there's a new system coming. Sometime in the next weeks or months, you're going to see some kind of currency backed by partial gold or all gold. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I don't have any inside information. I know what I hear out of Hong Kong, out of our affiliate company we're affiliated with there, and the company in Singapore we're affiliated with, and in Switzerland. They're all telling us the same thing. We're around the corner from having some kind of gold-backed system in currency. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. The debt has gone from $9 trillion to $28 trillion. The debt at $28 trillion is over $700 billion a year in interest on the U.S. federal debt. With the politics going on right now, paying a stimulus package, paying people to come into this country, lifting borders, I mean, it's going to be money you cannot comprehend. So let me give you, from an old pro that's been around a while, the main thing to watch is the value of the dollar. We've watched it go from 123 down to 90. If it breaks 90, and let me tell you, we're doing everything possible, the government is, to keep it above 90, because they know when it breaks below 90, and right now it's like 90.82, you're going to have a drop in the dollar. And when you do, you're going to remember every 1% the dollar goes down historically, gold goes up 4%, and silver can go up more. So right now, we think it's going back to 72, where it was in 2000 when all this started. And at 72, you would have a 20% drop, which would be an 80% increase in gold. So then you would see gold back up 4,000, 4,500, something like that. So you got to know that the key thing you can watch is the dollar value every day, just like you look at your stock indices, bond, what's going on with rising interest rates, and we'll get to that in a minute. So you've got to be able to follow that, and when the dollar starts dropping, you got to move, because what's going to happen then, interest rates are starting. Interest rates go up, bonds go down, mortgage rates go up, up. Inflation goes up. All of it comes in at the same time, all based on that 90 indicator of the value of the dollar. So that's what I've looked at historically. It's the one thing you can look at, and not with 100% accuracy, but you know it's going your way if you're in precious metals, or you're shorting the bond market, or you're getting in there in that arena. So be ready, watch that, and follow it like that. We've got a Chinese system by 2030 saying there'll be no paper money in the world. They think by 2024 they'll take the silver supply off the market. And let me tell you what they're doing in a minute. But they'll take the silver supply off the market just for one country, just for electric cars. And we see the richest man in the world talking about building solar panels in the U.S., which is another big demand for silver right now is electric cars increase. So, I mean, silver is a very rare commodity. It just hasn't gone off in price yet. And then you got to look at, when will the Chinese and Japanese that own over $7 trillion of the U.S.'s $28 trillion debt, when they're ready to kill the dollar, all they got to do is liquidate it. Nobody buys it. Interest rates go up. The Fed has to buy it. It compounds the value of the dollar, because now the Feds had to go in and buy it because the market won't buy it. And let me tell you, they're ready. They can do it anytime they want. The Chinese and Japanese can crash the federal U.S. Treasury market of bonds and notes and the short-term bills. All that they can crash all three of those markets whenever they want to. And believe me, they will do it. I promise you, they're going to do it. There has never been a more important time to have part of your assets in gold and silver, and I think platinum also right now. Palladium has made a great run. Our clients have made a lot of money on palladium over the last 5 years, but it's a little iffy right now. So just keep adding and cost averaging, getting in these markets. Let me see if I've covered everything. The silver demand is huge. Some of y'all have seen these stories where China is so smart, they're buying coking coal in West Virginia off the tipples. They're putting the coal in ships. The ships are going to China. They get off, they take it by truck, and they're digging trenches on government property for miles and digging it like 6 feet deep, and they're just putting coal in there and just covering it back up. And when you're going to see the price of coal, I don't know, I'm not an expert at playing coal as an investment, but you got a pretty good assurance it's going to do okay because of what's going on now. But the latest news I got out of Singapore, which was about 8 days ago, is China has quietly started buying silver, and not buying it and leaving it in storage warehouses, but for the first time that I know of, it started having that silver. Even though it's costly to get it there, there's going to be nothing when they need it. So they're buying silver, and whether they're putting it in the ground or they're putting it in bank vaults or wherever they're putting it, I'm not sure. But it comes from a very reliable source that they are buying and having it delivered to China, where they've been buying silver and leaving it in Singapore and Switzerland and even in New York and having physical silver, but just for an investment. Now they're taking it for the industrial uses and bringing it there. So hopefully today we've touched on everything that Steve and I discussed in our pre-talk to me doing this. And you're seeing, like I said, premiums on everything up. I gave you the worst examples of the Eagles in both gold and silver, what they've gone up. Some of the Royal Canadian Mint right now, they won't even take an order from us for gold or silver. They're so far behind on it, and they can't get the silver. See, the thing that nobody talks to you about is all the silver and silver eagles supposed to be mined in the U.S. That's very iffy. I'm not saying it's not, but many people believe it's not. But they've got to get the silver and then refine it and then make the coins, and they just can't buy it quick enough, especially if it's got to be bought, the gold and the silver, for eagles in the U.S. So I can't tell you it's not kosher there because I don't know that, but a lot of people think it's not. But just watch as we go ahead. Let me say this in closing about the debt. I've said it many times, but if you're not going to USDebt.org, US Debt Clock, or the US Debt Clock, or USDebt.org, and please spend about 5 minutes and look at the condition our country's in. We now have, for the first time ever, higher debt at $28 trillion than we have GDP by 136%. Never in the history of this country has the GDP been less than the debt. And as I told you last time, the size of government, to run this government, when Jimmy Carter got voted out in 1980, was $500 billion a year for the debt. Now we're looking at $4.5–5 trillion budgets, which is 9–10 times what the size of government has grown, 9 to 10 times since 1980. And there's no relief in sight. Just remember, there's never been a currency in the history of the world that went off of a gold standard and survived. And the U.S. dollar will not be the first. You can take that with you anywhere you want to go. It's a guarantee. It's just how much longer will people take dollars is the question. We've touched on a lot of things today. We can be reached at 800-247-2812. And if you're someone in my age group, a baby boomer, and you're retiring and you're rolling out your 401ks, roll that money and get it out of that company, put in a self-directed IRA for gold, called a precious metals IRA, and put it in your self-directed IRA for your stocks, bonds, and cash. But get it out of the 401k, give yourself more options, and we cannot be your custodian, but we can be your broker in these transactions and your representative. So call Dan or myself at 800-247-2812, and we'll help you get a custodian to get set up. But it's a great thing to do, and it's the fastest growing part of our business. I hope I've covered a lot of subjects today, probably not as deep as you would like, but in the essence of time, to touch on as many subjects as I wanted to. So until our next special report for SRS listeners, this is Tom Cloud signing out.